One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days, and we're back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. Marsh Bishop, we got Mike Ball. What's up, everybody? Glad you was able to tune in with us. We got another pretty good story that we're going to talk about today. I'm pretty sure this comment section going to light up once we start talking about that. As we going through, do us a favor, hit that like button on your way through. That helps get this show out on a proper algorithm so we can be able to put the show out to the masses as possible. That's what we're reaching for. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And that's just one more person that we're going to be able to share the stuff that we dig up every week and talk about and be able to share with you guys. But we're going to jump right into this story because I'm pretty sure once we get started in this, is so much stuff that we can talk about on this, but we're going to try to keep it kosher as much as possible. So for years, one name has reminded everyone, and also there's been so many questions that the public never felt that was fully answered. Not just about the man, but about the power, the influence, and whether the same rules apply to everyone. Now, recently, more court-connected documents have tied to the Epstein case were actually made public. And almost immediately, there was a firestorm. The internet was filled with reactions, and headlines, and screenshots, and speculations, and all different kind of stuff. But in moments like this, speed is not the same as truth. And tonight, we're going to kind of slow everything down a little bit. We're going to separate what is confirmed from what was misunderstood, what was rumor, and for what still remains unanswered. Because the story was never only about Jeffrey Epstein. It was about accountability. It was about trust. It was about whether truth in complicated cases can never fully reach the surface of what all was really going on. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the Dominant Effect. Now, I'm gonna put this out real quick so that way we got a full understanding here. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about the Epstein files, and I want to start with a standard that keeps this conversation fair and factual. The internet kind of tends to do this thing where one named person appears on a document and you treat it like a verdict, and that's really not how the truth works here, and that's really not how the law works. So there's going to be a couple rules we're going to be using tonight. Any name that's mentioned is not a charge. Any charge is not proof. Proof is what survives a courtroom, a court of law, and we're not neither that. So we're going to rely solely on the official releases, what's been considered as verified reporting, and not random things that just been popping up over
speculation, right?
Right. And I also want to say this clearly: the Epstein files includes a lot of sexual exploitation of minors, and we're going to keep that respectful, non-graphic, and focused on accountability in institutions, not the gory details as to a lot of stuff that we've heard.
We don't need to do that, right?
Right. So that's what that's how we're gonna jump into this. Now, the DOJ created this Epstein library. It was basically like a disclosure hub, and when they put it out, it warned that it made reasonable efforts to redact victims and identities and a lot of the sensitive information. But the scale by them doing that created a whole list of stuff that people was bringing up. You know what I mean? Because when these files first came out and they showed them, everything was redacted. So you only had a couple words here and there out of each sheet. You couldn't really figure out nothing. So the DOJ said that it published over 3 million additional pages back in January 30th of 26, totaling nearly, was it 3.5 million, plus 2,000 plus videos, 180,000 images in compliance to this Epstein Transparency Act, which I learned today that even with those 3.5 million pages, that's still only 50%.
I would imagine so.
They actually have.
Yeah, and they made the claim that they're all out there, and I sat there, I was like laughing. All right, sounds good. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, and I was thinking that too until I seen what I seen this morning, and it said that was nearly only 50% of the stuff that they actually have.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard that stat, though. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the DOJ described the main bucket sources like Florida and the New York Epstein cases, along with the Maxwell cases. Then you have the Epstein unalive investigations and that Florida Butler investigation. So you got multiple FBI investigations, and the DOJ and the OIG is reviewing the actual what's the word? The actual unaliving of Epstein, because now they're saying that even that is suspicious.
Right. Which it is.
Yeah. So the DOJ also states that some of this material that they were withholding was under, like, what they said, the Privacy Act exceptions, which that didn't really fly either, you know. So the review kind of explains the redaction issues that was kind of consistent at that scale, but the DOJ kind of set up a way for the victims to contact the DOJ without the redaction concerns, but it also explained formatting the issues, which kind of cut off the emails, putting certain symbols and different things to kind of, they knew that symbol meant something else and whatever, to kind of go along with, how do you put it? How they knew what it was, but we didn't know what it was. Now, if you go back to February of 25, you had the Attorney General Pam Bondi with the FBI release the first phase of these
I remember that
files, and that first phase largely contained material that was previously leaked out, but not formally released to the actual public. And then ABC News came out and said that there were, 341 pages with 118 duplicate pages, and it was only released like it's like a small catalog. So they put this little small catalog of evidence that came out with some stuff that happened in New York, but that's as far as they went with it.
Yeah, it's a small database originally.
Right. So so back in February 25, they announced that what was called that first phase was, that declassification, and it described it as a release of material that was related, dealing with 250 underage girls, and also
Wow.
largely contained documents that had been leaked before, but hadn't been officially released, to the actual public, and was,
from the DOJ.
Right. And actually, a lot of people in Congress had no idea about this particular section here. So I guess the key takeaway is that, like, that was like the starter release. That was the limited packet that they kind of sprinkled this huge reaction that was going to go on after them. So then you had once they here recently, under this this federal transparency requirement, that's when the 3.5 million pages came out. And in those files, it included the investigation reports, you had the litigation materials, you had the emails, you had testimony, you had the books, the flight logs, you had all the previous leaked documents, plus a whole bunch more, which kind of opened up a whole powder keg.
Well, as you know, the problem with that is a lot of it's just contextual, not indictful, right? So that's kind of the problem with these files.
Mm-hmm. Now, they said when they released them that some of the material may contain unverified or false accusations, redactions. They said that a lot of the pages were imperfect, and then they went back to say that they were trying to protect the people that were actually victims of this. But there was a lot of names that popped up when they released this overall thing. Now, Matter of fact, I found this list that they put out the other day. So I'm gonna show page 1 for a couple seconds, jump over to 2, jump over to 3.
Sure.
So this is page 1 here, and
There we go.
so if you can see they started out in alphabetical order as to who all is on this. Now pick out a couple ones that's on here. Let's see, you got George Bush, you got Clinton, you have
Bill Gates,
Bill Gates, Rudy Giuliani,
Michael Jackson, Jay-Z.
Yeah, everybody. You have Robert De Niro, David Copperfield,
John Bolton.
Bono. I mean, it's countless.
Yeah, it really is.
Chris Tucker,
Mike Huckabee.
Mike
Huckabee. That's insane. He's in our government right now.
Yeah, that's on here. Jump over to page 2. Page 2 is loaded down.
Hakeem Jeffries. No way. That's the first one on this one. That's hilarious.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, all these people on here. Even have Pope John Paul II, Prince Philip, Dr. Oz.
Shit's so crazy, bro. This shit is so wild.
Yeah, everybody knew about this. Everybody knew about this place, man. And then over into page 3, which kind of sums up
the last
little
Donald
bit
Trump on there on the last, of course.
Oh yeah, he right there. Yeah,
real quick. Yep, on the top right. Real quick, Naomi coming in with the $2 right before we started, actually saying love and respect, and then love and respect to Mike and his lovely co-host AB. Like y'all, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. Very much appreciate you guys, and thank you, Naomi.
Yeah, so it has that's the full list that they have. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's probably way more people on there than what they actually have on that list.
Right.
I had seen a thing just about a couple hours ago where they're in Columbus, Ohio right now interviewing Les Wexner. Now I'm from Ohio, so I'm familiar with this guy. I mean, he basically owns just about everything in Ohio, seems like. But they're there actually investigating him now, because they said that this whole time that everything has been going on, nobody has went there and actually interviewed this man. Not from the DOJ, not from the FBI. None of them has actually came there and interviewed this guy. But this is what kind of struck my attention about this whole thing. Now, those of you who don't know Les Wexner, he is a billionaire from Ohio. And he's an older guy, probably like in his 80s right now. So they're doing this interview with him. And he's been tied to not only things dealing with the Epstein files, but he's also been tied to a lot of other things dealing with funneling money into these different corporations and stuff that was also a part of some human trafficking rings that he's actually funded. Now, right. He claims today that he really didn't know Epstein, that they really wasn't friends, right? You know, I've seen him from time to time. Yeah, I went over to the island. Yeah, I rode in the plane, but we really wasn't friends. But then they found out that between actual money given, stocks, and so on, that Les had gave him well over $1 billion.
Damn.
That that island was actually funded by this money that Les had gave him.
Is that trackable?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
And then they also said that Les made Epstein his power of attorney. So if you don't know the man and you're not friends, why would you make him a power of attorney? Why would you give him all this money? And he says that he never gave it to him. He don't know how he got that money.
Hey, or I got
Bullshit.
Right.
Bullshit.
You know, so now that kind of goes over to now they're questioning like all the other stuff that they were going on, because they were saying there were some things that he was, you know, when they first started talking about the Epstein files, when they said that they were doing these models and beauty pageants and stuff like that, and they were bringing these girls in, they were thinking they were going to be models and all this other stuff, and then they ended up being trafficked. Well,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were trafficked though. I didn't know that part.
They said that's where a lot of these girls was coming from, because they were seeking these
Man,
modeling jobs.
I would expect that from DHR, Department of Human Resources, not necessarily from a group like that, but totally interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume one is to be true, absolutely. But yeah, crazy.
Right. So like I said, now he denies that he ever did that. He don't know how he got that money. He never personally gave it to him, which they came out today and said like, you gave it to him. You know what I mean? You also let him use your yachts. You let him use your planes. You let they started naming off all this stuff that this man had ended up, you know, like he was sitting there lying about. Like, you should have just pled the fifth, being the fact that he the one that volunteered to talk. So if you volunteered to talk to him about it, why are you gonna sit there and lie to him? Just go and tell him the truth about it. You know what I mean? Especially being the fact that out of all this time, this stuff has been going on, you never even brought it up. They never even came and talked to you in the first place. You know what I mean? Even though I'm pretty sure if you looked at that list there, all the quote, quote, important ones that was on that list, they knew where that money was coming from.
Now, those are just people that have been named in the files, right? Not necessarily visited the island or something exclusive to that level. It's just named.
Right. These are the names that had showed up on the files. Now, some of them had actually been there. Some of them hadn't. Actually, I had a thing here. Let's see. Who did it say here? I'll give you a couple examples.
Nice.
So you have Howard Lutnick. That he was the Commerce Secretary. You have email suggesting that he visited Epstein Island in 2012 after claiming that he had cut ties with him earlier. You had Elon Musk, that there was emails that he had asked about parties, but declined the invitation to visit the island. You have Kevin Walsh, who appeared in an email listing people headed to a Christmas gathering. And Reuters noted that it wasn't clear why Epstein was sent the note or whether Walsh knew Epstein at all. This was part that was in the email. You have Dr. Oz, who Rutgers reported that an email invitation to Epstein back in 2016 for a Valentine's Day party. But then it says, of course, there was they're not actually accusing him of doing any wrongdoing, but they said that he was actually there. Then you have Bill Clinton, and they wrote that in the files containing many of the famous names, and specifically Clinton, featured extensively in some releases, while nearly him and President Trump were had limited access depending on the actual track, and then of course a lot of it was redacted, so you don't know what a lot of that is. And then you have Miss Maxwell, that she was basically Epstein's right hand, and she was she was his associate, which everybody knew, who's got a 20-year sentence. Um, while she was the one that actually gave up the flight records. So that's how they knew who all was coming back and forth when she gave up those
Itineraries or whatever.
right, right, the full flight records as to who was coming back and forth. So, like I said, like those were just some of the names. Those are just some of the ones that
I'm sure there's more.
Right, as I was going through and picked it out. Now, out of the list that we put out, it was several of those that was on there that they have talked to, that we've seen different reports about, that that said that they were there and that they had visited, but they didn't go through this, they didn't see this, they didn't see that. Of course, a lot of that stuff comes up. It's kind of like the whole Diddy thing. Like everything was recorded, videotaped, something. You know what I mean? So my question is why? Like, why would you go through all that with the videotaping and the recording and keeping logs and all this other stuff? Was that something that you were just doing for your personal use, which I highly doubt, or is that something that you did to where you could turn around and actually use it later on?
Totally. I mean, I agree with that sentiment that he could use that as blackmail for other people. Absolutely. But I think it's a double thing for him. I think that he also thought he was invincible. Oftentimes when people get some money, they think they're invincible and bulletproof. Like nothing can take them down. Imagine being a quote unquote billionaire, which I barely believe that shit. I don't even think that motherfucker was anywhere close to a billionaire. But still, I think that it's a double whammy, because he thinks that, well, nothing can take me down. I've got the money, influence, power. I've bought out all these different politicians and different officers or police departments or sheriff departments, whatever the case is, right? So I think it's a little bit of both. Now, let me make myself clear on the situation of this whole thing. Anybody that was, or anybody that has participated in the act of any of this shit, where they're actually actively human trafficking or doing some PDF stuff or whatever the case is, every single one of them should go down. And that goes for anybody, not just in particular one side or left, right, indifferent, whatever, doesn't matter. If that's Donald Trump, that's Donald Trump. He needs to be investigated. If it's Bill Clinton, it needs to be Bill Clinton. If it's Bill Gates, it needs to be Bill Gates. You know what I mean? So I think the whole thing needs to fucking go down. That's my take on it.
You're right. Actually, personally, I think they should. I know what was it, a couple weeks ago, when they were trying to get Clinton to come in for that congressional meeting or whatever, and he was like, he wanted to do it public where everybody could hear what it was that he had to say. Dealing with the magnitude of everything that went on there, and you talk about the trafficking of women and young girls.
Sure.
When you talk about the sexual exploitation, when you talk about all of these quote unquote powerful people that visited this place, and you don't know who all was there. I mean, like they talked about all this different. I mean, they even said Oprah was there. There's been a lot of people that's been there now. And then when you look through these files and you see where so much stuff had went on there, and so many different like theories coming out when they talking about they were like what was actually going on and what they were doing and the different acts that they were doing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you would think that you would, like, once you got him up out of there, that you would just bomb the damn island, because I mean, because it's tainted. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want no parts of it. You know what I mean? You want to do away with anything and everything that's even dealing with this man. But a lot of this stuff is coming back to haunt people. You know what I mean? As
Of
they
course
say,
it is.
the chicken's coming home to roost.
Well,
A lot
that's
of
why
this stuff-
that's why both sides of the equation were trying to cover it up. You know,
Right. I mean, because this, like I said, there's people from all sides. That's
every
over.
side actually,
mean,
every
all
side.
sides. When you-
Whether that means you're a libertarian, independent, Democrat, socialist, communist, it doesn't matter, bro. Everyone
Right.
is subjugated, and on a world level, it's not even national; it's world level.
Mm-hmm. Right. There was people that visited this place that was from all around the world. You know what I mean? You got princes, and you got sheiks, you got, you know what I mean?
Totally.
You got presidents, you got former presidents, you got you know,
The
big
biggest
name
influence
socialites,
in the world.
everybody went there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is
Now,
so
I didn't even
odd.
know about this until like when it first came out years ago, and I'm like, I mean, he had a whole island. Like
Yeah.
nobody knew about this. You know what I mean? Like somebody had to know about this, man. He ain't have no whole island over, and nobody messed with him. Now you know why.
Yeah.
Because everybody was involved in it. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
everyone of influence on an elected official level. I mean, they were all in for it. All
Right.
of them.
Now when they first bought out the initial files, that first little reporting that they did, it did show Trump's name in there. There was at that point they showed it like 9 times.
Yeah, it wasn't even 10 times. But then
Right.
now
And then-
with the millions that's come out now.
Right now it's like tens of thousands of times across thousands of different files. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you know what I mean? I think with that, he got some explaining to do too. You know what I mean? He gonna have to come out with this shit. You know,
Yeah.
because
I mean, but granted, a lot of it's contextual. It's not, like I said, something you can indict on, for instance. But yes, at bare minimum, I agree with you, AB, that he needs to be questioned on it, right?
right. See, now a lot of them worried about they don't want to say too much because they don't want to incriminate themselves and end
Of
up
course.
getting indicted and go to jail or whatever. Because you know, people have been getting tried and convicted for stuff that happened, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. They still getting tried and convicted for now. You know what I mean? So a lot of them are not going to actually come out and actually tell the truth about it. You know what I mean? Which is going to be bad for them on the other end, because once they figure out that they did have something to do with this and what they actually done, because like I said, if you just hit 50% and you got 3.5 million files out and you just at 50%, imagine when they get all of it out.
Now, I'm still
Everything.
skeptical of that number, though, because how can we prove a negative, something that we don't necessarily know, what they haven't put out right now? But I do believe that there is a heavy amount of files and or context that has been pulled out from the public, for instance. They're never going to see it. But I don't like that number. How can we prove something that's a negative? Like we don't know, right? Unless like some FBI agents coming out and saying this shit, you know, or whatever the case is. But still, I do agree that there's a lot of unknowns here. A lot of names I'm sure that have been pulled. A lot of context has been pulled from these files, which none of us actually voted for. We voted for the transparency and truth, right? So unfortunately, that does, to an extent, show it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they had the like with the group that was in Columbus that's doing an interview with Les right now. They were the ones when I heard that report earlier about 4 hours ago. That was the one that said that there were still 50% that was still not out yet. So you think, okay, if it's 3.5 that's out now and that's 50%, so that means it's another 3.5 out, so that's 7 million files over the course of all these years of all these people that went over there. And what happened? what happened, what they did, what they was involved with, what they wasn't involved in. You know what I mean? And then, once you start following the money,
Right.
then you start finding out everybody else that's been involved.
See, the problem that I hate about this whole thing is, speaking of following the money, can't figure out where the fuck Jeffrey Epstein made his money. Like, that's incredible. How do we not know how supposedly, now, of course, it's been told a million times this guy was a billionaire and all this. Again, I don't believe that. But even if you made $1 million, it's going to be trackable somehow. What'd he do? Fucking buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin right when it launched or something? Like, how is this something that we can't follow?
I think a lot of it, the reason why he can't follow it is because there's, just like when I was just talking about Les here, they said that he got well over $1 billion just from him.
Yeah, that's so crazy, bro. That's insane. If that's honestly true, and it probably is.
Between money actually given, stocks, mutual funds, stuff like that, it was well over $1 billion.
Yeah, and just like anything, though, it's like hitting the lottery. When you hit the lottery for $500 million, you're going home with $200 million, kind of thing. He's got expenses. He's got fucking mortgages. He's got an island to pay for. You know what I mean? Like, so there's overhead, right?
And then, too, maybe the people that was coming over was also paying.
Oh, I'm sure they probably were willing participants in that. You know what I mean? Oh, I'll pay my way, or I'll pay to stock the booze on the island for everybody or something, of course.
Well, maybe like I said, if it's from, not to bring up this the sensitive stuff, I'm trying to word this correctly. But if there was actual plan that went on over there, he was charging something. He was making money. He wasn't. It wasn't just simply because this man and a couple other ones was giving him money. He was figuring out a way to make this money, and he was being protected to be able to do it. Real quick,
I got something special to say. I'm super sorry. TVT donated some money, and unfortunately, just like Naomi said, I didn't realize until just a second. I can't see that from the StreamYard side. Unfortunately, YouTube is lame with that whole vertical donation thing. But TVT, thank you so much for the 1,000 joules, dude. That's a lot of money, man. I very much appreciate that. So, I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much for your contributions, kind sir. Making it rain in the chat. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just one big money pot over there. He didn't need a job. He was providing a service. He needed a job, and he was collecting. You know what I mean? Whether we want to admit that or not, that's exactly what that seemed like. He was pimping. Make a long story short, that's exactly what he was doing. And nobody said anything because everybody was involved. You know what I mean? And now it's actually going to come out that this is what took place. Now hell gonna break loose because of what happened. You know what I mean? Now they gonna go through, and it ain't gonna just be the administration trying to cover this up. Everybody on that list gonna be trying to cover something up.
Of course, and they all got money. Now, it'd be one thing if, let's just say, it's someone like me and you, AB. Let's be real. We're not hundreds of millionaires and got insane amount of influence and attorneys backing us left and right. Imagine having even just 10 million. People are of course going to be sitting there with their attorneys on call and all this shit. I'm not like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that kind of power or influence or any of that. So, yeah, imagine all those people that know they participated with this guy, and now they're tight-lipped and going, well, I got a lot of money. I'll do whatever I got to do not to get in trouble, get indicted, to shut the fuck up, to scrub the internet. These guys got billions of dollars, right? Well, shit, what's it to you to spend $20,000 for a company to scrub the internet for you? you know, and all of that again is like tracking the money, follow the money. But
Mm-hmm.
that takes work. And the government hates work.
Right. I mean, especially if you got the people in place that can actually do that for you, though.
Yeah, that would be nice.
No, no, no. I'm talking about they actually have people that can actually sit there and scrub that stuff for them.
Oh,
If
yeah,
they,
yeah, of course. I'm sure by then they probably own somebody that can do all of that untraced, you know, where they're not going through a company or something like that. They're going through their homie, you know, they're just going to do it and like, hey, I'll give you a kickback on the backside, you know.
but you know what though? I was thinking about this earlier. Now, just like you just said, if it was me and you know what I
Right.
mean, then it would go like this. Now, let's put that in the same scenario. If it was me or you that had did anything remotely close to this, not even close to this,
Yeah, remote, just 1/1000th, you know, I get it.
just a percentage
Yeah,
of what's been talked about here, we would be behind the jail, under
easily.
the
By
jail.
the feds would have came here, sweeped everything, got me,
Exactly.
got you, whatever. Yeah.
You got these people here
No one's
that
indicted.
that's right. Nobody's indicted. The ones that names did pop up that they brought up, they was like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna resign from my position.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do this." Nothing.
Yep.
Okay. Nothing.
No
So
accountability.
none.
Nothing. Yep.
None.
They dodged
None.
it.
And that brings me to my next point. It's the difference between actual transparency and protection. Because
True.
that's exactly what's going on right now. So another layer of complexity that goes along with this whole thing exists in this this simple investigation. Well, not really simple. It's like a very complex, sensitive investigation. And it demands transparency. And people want complete visibility on every single document. They want to know every name. They want to know all the unanswered questions. They want to know the who, what, when, where, and why. They want to know who actually went through this, who suffered through this, who's been abused by this, who is um, who's scared to talk about this. You know what I mean? The ones who are scared versus the ones that actually came out and actually spoke about a lot of this stuff that's going on. And then there's this whole obligation to protect fairness versus the privacy. And when you're dealing with the legal system, you got to also guard the actual victims' identities because you don't want that to get out. The actual presumption of innocence, the integrity of the trials that's ongoing, and some of the ones that may even pop up here in the near future, which I think it probably will be, and the rights of the individuals that were never charged yet. So you got to put all that into that same boat. Now, when you do that, though, that creates this whole difficult little balancing act there because the public wants full transparency.
And you know what's funny is I even want the names. You know, I
This
know I
side,
know a lot of people are like, let's protect, and you know, there's a lot of willing participants in that game too. Not every single person is a victim. So, you know, I truly believe that all of them need to come out. All redactions and all that shit. Let the public figure it out now. This is what it is now. It's so big at this point. That's the
well,
best
you
thing you
have
can do. But
well, you have
everyone's
so
going down
many
in that.
you have so many people that's involved. Well, I mean, I'm talking about actual people that went through it, actual victims itself.
Sure.
Now, I get the fact that you redact their name because you don't want their name out to where
I
people
get
can
it too.
sit there and harass them and go to their job and their houses and all that.
Sure. Sure.
Kind of rekindle a lot of demons that they probably didn't try to suppress for many years.
Sure.
You know, some of them probably got over it. Some of them haven't. You know what I mean? So I understand that particular part of it. But I think when it comes down to the files itself and what they said these people done, I think it absolutely needs to come out. I think everybody has that right. If they want to look at it and read it and see, then they should have the right to look at it and see. You know what I mean? Not the victims. I'm talking about what they said. Okay, if this one here
Sure.
did blah 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 blah, I should be able to see what they did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
And then I can make my assumptions about it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, some of these major ones that's in here, when they talk about, you know, major things that these like certain people done, they got to come clean with that. You know what I mean? Because just like I said, accountability. The same laws that apply to me and you applies to everyone.
That's the way it should be, always.
Everyone has to go by the same law.
Even lawmakers that make the law, all of it, all the way down. Yes, and no one's the exception, including the guys writing the law.
Right, right. And I think that's gonna be the biggest thing, because I guess that's one of the questions that I was actually gonna ask you.
Oh, well, sorry. You know what I mean?
Bruh.
When you dealing with something like that, and being the fact that a lot of these people that's on this list are also very powerful people. A lot of these people are, you know, business tycoons, government officials. You know, you got lawyers, you have, you know, House and Senate representatives, you know, former presidents. You got all these different powerful
all the
people
way up and down the chain. Yep.
So my question to you is can a powerful system truly investigate themselves independently and honestly?
No.
Why?
I think the federal government has proven to us over the course of the last 50 years minimum, they're not to be trusted. Mm-hmm. Especially the feds.
Right. Now, you know, I agree. Now, are there actual things in place for that? Yes, because there is systems that's designed for that.
But naturally, it's like human resources at a corporate company, and when you have a dispute between the company and an employee, who's HR going to stand with? They're supposed to be neutral, and they're of course going to side with the corporation. Of course, that's the way of the road. So no, I don't trust that shit.
Well, it's hard to trust it, being that a lot of the stuff that goes along, people kind of get the smack on the wrist, and they go on about their business. You know, just resign 100%. From your position and everything will go away. Just stay off the way for a little bit, and everybody will just forget about it. Give it a couple months. They'll never bring your name up.
Well, that's politics in general.
Right.
That's everything. Yeah.
Right. Thing is, though, there is no difference between the man that's sitting in Capitol Hill, that's a representative or a senator.
Correct.
There's no difference in him than you sitting in Alabama.
Correct.
Same rules apply. You know what I mean? And once
across the board, right?
Once you start deviating from that, you set a precedence. Once you set that precedence, then you can't possibly, like, you can't do me what you didn't do to him.
Sure. Yep.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
That happens a lot.
Yes, it does happen a lot.
And then, like you said, you got right now, like the Supreme Court, for instance, they've been flipping and bouncing stuff for the past year. Some stuff you can agree with, some stuff you like, what? Mm-hmm. Why would you even bring that up to even try to do? You know what I mean? But like you said, they're covering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with the question that I asked, like, is there internal checks and balances there? Yes. Are they used? No. Because that's
and if
where
they are, it's political theater.
Right, because that's where your independent prosecutors, your inspector generals, and all them are actually supposed to come in. That's where the actual checks and balances will
Supposed to be
come
at.
from. But
Right.
if they suppress it before it even gets to them,
Correct.
or you put enough leverage on them that they don't want to bring it up because of what's going to happen on the back end if they do, then exactly you run into that stalemate, which is basically what's good for me ain't good for you. What I can get
Right.
away with, you can't.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that's
Do as I
my
say, not as I
experience.
do.
That's my experience with these lawmakers that, I mean, the incumbent, for instance, that we're running against here locally, he writes the laws theoretically, and this motherfucker out here doing the exact opposite of what he writes. Like, so it's kind of funny how people love to be the exception because of power or money. Listen, man, I don't care if you're a billionaire. On this shit, on politics shit, we're the same. If anything, you work for us. So, yeah, that's why I love the land of politics.
Which is the reason why some of them need to come front and center.
Mm-hmm.
Just what you just said, because in all actuality, you work for us. We voted for you to be in that spot.
Correct.
Okay, so now
it's true actual servant leadership, and unfortunately, that's been lost for years, decades.
It's been lost, and they steady putting rules around it to where that whole scenario that I just said right there, where you work for us, does this.
Yes, correct.
And they're constantly doing it, and they slipping them in all these little bills that don't nobody pay attention to, and you steady sitting there like, I pay your bill, you use my tax to do this, and then you do what I say. I voted you in here. You supposed to represent me, blah, 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 blah. But then they put all this stuff in place now that eventually is going to do a complete shift to where now, I don't really give a damn what you do. What I mean?
It's kind of like the guy that's like you've heard the band Journey or whatever, right? It's like the guitarist that gets a hired gun to go ahead and play those songs that have already been created years before that guy's ever performed them. And he gets hired to play it, and now he's up there. But naturally, you're in the limelight. You're getting in the famous crowds. Your fame goes up. All of this kind of stuff, and all of a sudden, you kind of get an ego. That's the same shit with the politicians, verbatim. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Same shit. They all of a sudden they think, oh, all this attention and money and PACs that are willing to donate or give to my campaign. $100,000 at a time. Yeah, these guys, all of a sudden their dick gets hard and they think, oh, okay, well, I run this shit. No, homie, you do not. We the people run this shit.
So here's my next question I got for you. What do you think happens to a society when that belief in justice begins to erode?
Shit.
What do you think?
We're there. We're there. I don't trust the DOJ for shit. It's kind of like I have to be there to witness it, to trust it, trust the process at this point. I can't even take their word. So now imagine being like a boomer generation, right? Where it's like, I forget the exact number. It's like 80% approval rate of the government, where they trust the government, quote unquote. It's so flip-flop now. Now it's like below 20% of like trust into the feds and the government. And that's the lowest it's ever been, I think, ever. But that's what happens when you have independent media such as this and what we're doing right now. We go against the grain of their program. That's the establishment rhetoric and nomenclature. Here, us, the people, we're not as retarded as they think we are, because they know we are retarded to that extent. They know that shit. But then all of a sudden, well, listen, not all of us, we the people, are retarded. You know what I mean? Not everybody's a dumb fuck. Not everyone's a goldfish. And this show is proof of that. So.
Yeah, I think when it gets to the point that the rules don't apply equally, um, when people that actually do wrongdoing don't face the same consequences as everyone else, and the overall balance of fairness is lopsided,
Mm-hmm.
it will erode, and it's going to get. I mean, not just I'm not saying dealing with this. I'm talking about in general. It's going
Sure.
to get to the point that, how do you say it? Um, you ever heard back in the day when people said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired"?
Of course.
That's exactly what this is. That's exactly where this is headed.
Totally.
People are going to get to the point that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's way too much going on.
Well,
You know,
you know that paying taxes at the end of the year is optional. So listen, man, we've got a little bit of power and leverage that they don't want us to have, and that is funding our own demise. You know, really, honestly, I'm not advocating for you to not to pay your taxes, YouTube, but I am letting them know, like, listen, we're not as dumb as you guys think we are.
mm-hmm. Now you
No
know
matter
I
what,
did.
no matter what side of the equation, this is not a left and right problem. This is a top and bottom problem.
Right. There's a top and bottom because that whole middle is basically gone.
Yes, it's absolutely gone.
Yeah,
It's
that's all it is now is top and bottom. There
there
is
there is, yeah,
there is
there
no
is
middle.
no middle. Yes, correct.
You know, which like I said, you're going people right now are getting to the point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? These um it's like it never ends. It's like one week is this, next week is something that's even more crazier than this one. And then you
100%.
throw now you throw this into it. Now this here, the whole thing with Epstein, it had, it's always been in conversation throughout the years.
Yep.
But for the most part, it had kind of died out. Like people knew certain people that had been there, stuff like that. Yeah. And they seen pictures of different things that was going on. They heard stuff that was going on, you know, and but for the overall consensus, it kind of died down. Now, with all this stuff that's coming out, and it's showing all these pictures, and some of them pictures I seen, man,
Yeah.
it'll make you like really like think like
It's extremely uncomfortable.
seriously, like
Yeah.
right, like is that what y'all do? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Is that what people with money do? They just
Yeah.
they just do weird shit like
Honestly,
that.
if that's what money turns you into, I don't even want it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, 100%. That's some sick, demented. I think honestly, they're like satanic. I mean, it's heresy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so dealing with this, um, I'm not going. I'm not going to go real deep into it because I see where we at on the
Yeah,
time.
we're already at an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I see where we're. It's these questions that we brought up and that we talked about are a lot larger than just this one case and about one document or even one moment in history that we're dealing with right now. Um, these are questions about whether truth can actually endure and whether justice will remain fair.
Sure.
Um, and whether the trust between the both can survive the doubt. Now, every generation faces those particular questions in their own way, depending on what's going on at that time. And how society normally answers them often determines not just what it believes, but also what it becomes. If you believe in the nonsense, then you become the nonsense. Just like you said, if I play in the circus, I become the clown.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or do we actually set this up for what it really is? It's not about whether we're on one side or the other. It's what's right and what's wrong. And based on the stuff that I've seen here, and I got tons of papers here of all this different stuff that that I've read about, um, that I've actually watched on other broadcasts and seen on other broadcasts. It's it's sad on a number of reasons. Um, it's sad that you think about the countless women and underage girls and teenage girls and even little boys that had succumbed to this fiasco, is what I call it. And having these people that a lot of these people that we actually looked up to, that we followed, we believed in stuff that they said and how they moved, and a lot of people kind of built their life around a lot of these different people. They idolized a lot of these people. To sit back and look at this stuff and read this stuff, and you think that's not the person I thought they were. This is who I kind of, you know, reflected my life towards. This is the person that I looked up to. This is the person that I've been following all these years, thinking that, you know, listening to their advice, thinking that what they telling me is actually good. And then I sit here and I look at these paperwork and I look at these names and I see that these people, these same ones that we've been idolizing and following and thinking that, you know, defending them and everything
They're
else.
doing good for the
They-
world and all of that. Yeah.
right. And see that they own some, how can I say, grade A fuck shit. That's what I'm gonna call it. Oh shit. That's just what it is. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. It's the whole thing's tragic. You know, I feel for the victims. I feel for the victims' families. Um, I hope that um, throughout all this that they were able to seek, you know, the proper counseling and get the help that they needed in order to make it through this. And I think that the people who can actually do something about this, DOJ, Miss Bondi, do your job. Um, these courts, do your job. These lawmakers, do your job.
The DA, all of it.
I mean, these special prosecutors, the independent prosecutors, these
Attorney generals, all of them.
generals, all of them, do your job.
Yep.
Like I said, this stuff done went on way too long. You know what I mean? How much longer do these people have to sit here? And I mean, could you imagine right now if you were one of the victims having to sit here now and listen to all this stuff and relive it all over again like it just happened? You know what I mean? Could you imagine the pain that them people are in right now? I mean, it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? And
it's unmeasurable.
right.
Yeah.
And then what about the ones who, what about all these kids that had disappeared and never seen them again? You know what I mean? You don't know whether they were part of this little run here or one of them other little things that they've been playing.
Could have been tied in completely.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know. So this whole thing is tied up to hurt, greed, and bullshit.
It's messy bullshit. That's right.
And people need to pay the price for this. Period.com. You know
I agree. Yep.
I mean, if you can pull up Bill Cosby from 30 years ago where he done gave somebody a Quaalude
Facts.
and had his way, you can pull their asses up too and do the same thing. There is no blinder when it comes to put, like, you know, they say justice is blind. justice just blindfolded on this shit.
Yes, right. That's a great way to put it, dude. Wow. I like
And
that.
we're gonna have, and something needs to be done. You know what I mean?
I agree.
They need to stop covering. You know what I mean? Start being accountable.
Yep. It's time.
And do your job. No matter who it is, do your job.
It's irrelevant, whoever it is. It's actually irrelevant. All of them need to go down.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we're gonna shoot it down for the evening. Like I said, thank everybody for coming. Like always, like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit the like button on both pages. If you're not on the Facebook channel, go on the Facebook group Dominant Effect. We put a lot of stuff on there every week. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff that goes on, being that we only do a show once a week, that we can't talk about everything. A lot of people, I thank you for sending me little emails and messages about different stuff that's going on, you know what I mean, for me to look at. I appreciate you. And keep doing it. I mean, because a lot of times y'all see stuff that I don't see, and we're able to jump in and be able to tackle some of this stuff and kind of get some answers to some of the stuff that we're going on. You know what I mean? Mind you, we're not lawyers. We don't work for the court. Our job is to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to give you the truth based on what we can pull up right here. So once again, thank you all for coming, and I'll see you all in 7 days. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Obviously, I know this is cliche, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I thank you guys for being here, hitting that like button on both of our sides, making sure that you guys double tap that screen on the vertical. Listen, we're going to be back here in 7 days. Of course, this is what we do. Listen, if you're going to be on, if you guys are on my side, we're going to be sending you guys over to my buddy Powder Dusty, who I know him as Flow State. Make sure you let him know we're coming through with a raid. But listen, I think this was a phenomenal conversation. Make sure you guys share out this kind of information. This is stuff that, of course, the left and the right, the government, up, down, bottom, and in between, they don't want this kind of information out. So make sure you guys share this information, whether it be on your Facebook page, on your YouTube page, all of that. So thank you for all of your engagement. Listen, we'll be back here in 7 days. Much love, honor, respect to everybody. We'll see you guys very soon.